Today we're taking a look at 20 or more, spoiler, super solid Xbox 360 games that also just so happen to cost less than $10 per game. I'm using eBay prices and I'm including shipping, so the pricing is often worst case scenario. Shop local, and you may find them even cheaper, but that's enough yapping from me. Let's get right into the list. They say you shouldn't start the show with a showstopper, but I'm going to anyway. Dragon Age Origins, and to a lesser extent, Dragon Age 2, is just peak BioWare. Ignore the modern slop they're putting out nowadays. They were absolutely on fire during this era. There is a more complete edition of the first game that includes the Awakening DLC content, but if you just want a physical copy of these gems for the best possible price, you can't go wrong here. Certainly the most unique game on today's list, Child of Eden is an on-rails musical shooter from the mind of the same guy behind Rez and Tetris Effect, Tetsuya Mizuguchi. Initially designed as a Kinect game, fret not, as it plays just fine with a controller. You're going to blast your way through each level and defeat the boss of each stage, nodding along to the upbeat electronic music as you weave your way through what is basically a laser light show. Child of Eden is a full-blown experience, and one that you shouldn't miss if you've got a few bucks to spare.
In their tongue, he's Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
You've heard of these ones, right? The Elder Scrolls series is a household name at this point, and the three released on console are all awesome. Skyrim, Oblivion, and it's not a 360 game, but even Morrowind has backwards compatibility, and I also just reviewed the Xbox version of Morrowind, so definitely go check that out after this video. It's pretty damn interesting, but I digress. These are two must-play Western RPGs that cost about as much as a cup of coffee these days. Back to the BioWare classics already, the Mass Effect series is absolutely fantastic. It's basically Dragon Age in space. If you like sci-fi and RPGs literally at all, you do not want to miss these. Now, if you want to grab these on eBay, there is a little collector's edition trilogy set that saw a US release. I'm not sure if it was released elsewhere, I didn't see any, but that appears to be about the same price as buying them separately online. Otherwise, you're way more likely to find them individually out in the wild, and piecemealing them together that way at local shops will likely save you a few bucks in the long run. They're super common, and they're very good. Here's one you may not have heard of. Rockstar's Table Tennis is definitely an underrated gem. It's a super fun sports game. I use that in quotations. Definitely not your traditional sports title. This was the first game using Rockstar's new game engine before they went on to use it for the modern Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead games, and it definitely shows. The game plays really well. There's some really cool spin and focus and slow motion mechanics to get into. Really fun and pretty quick arcadey gameplay style. Definitely worth checking out. Hey, if you find any games on today's list that you think are solid picks, definitely leave a comment letting people know, and recommend me any you think I may have missed. I'll have a part 2 to this video coming in the near future, just because there's so many good options, but also let me know what other topics you'd like me to cover for you. Alright, let's get back to it. If you're looking for a solid high fantasy Western action RPG other than Skyrim and Oblivion, look no further than Dragon's Dogma. This one is great. The Dark Arisen version is definitely the better option overall if you want to spend a touch more, as it has some additional fixes and content, but this is still a great RPG to snag on the cheap if you find the base copy and just want to give it a try. If you're looking to take on the role of a stealthy assassin, check out the Arcane Studios classic Dishonored. Unlike later titles in the Assassin's Creed series that leaned further and further away from that stealth gameplay and more into open-world exploration, Dishonored keeps its gameplay and level design pretty tight, and provides a strong focus on player choice as the story and missions change depending on your actions. If you want to feel like death lurking in the shadows, a badass assassin imbued with magical power, definitely give Dishonored a go. The Battlefield Bad Company games come with a little asterisk next to the recommendation, as the online play was and still is obviously a big draw for many shooters, and a cursory search suggests that the servers are down for both on 360. That said, both of these games have a decent single-player campaign across a fairly wide range of different biomes, with some tactical elements and destructible environments. And considering they're both nearly dollar menu items if you find them in a local shop, I still think they're a fun grab if you're into war-themed shooters. While there are a ton of excellent racing games on the 360, a decent chunk of them are actually over our price threshold here. The Criterion Reboot and Need for Speed games have stayed reasonably cheap though, and while they're not as charming, or frankly as good as the older ones, like Most Wanted, they're definitely still fun, and a fine pickup for the price if you want some solid racing gameplay. Hack-and-slash action-adventure games with dark themes were a dime a dozen back in the day, but the Darksiders titles are certainly deserving of attention as they're some of the better ones. Brutal melee combat with combos and special moves, big nasty bosses, and some platforming and puzzle-solving elements. You'll find a bit in common here with the old God of War games if you've played those, though this series remains wholly its own thing. Give them a go if you want to brutishly carve up some monsters. Considered one of the very best zombie franchises out there, the Dead Rising games give you an open world full of brain-dead baddies and an extremely wide variety of objects with which you can handle your business. While the second game goes a bit deeper on the plot and open world exploration, the highlight of both is definitely unleashing a savage beating on the hordes of enemies with whatever happens to be around you. Get creative and enjoy some of the best zombie games ever made for less than half the price of your Netflix subscription. A Capcom-developed title that may have flown under your radar, Lost Planet: Extreme Condition is a third-person shooter set in a sort of post-civilization world. Earth has been rendered functionally uninhabitable due to war and pollution and other hippie nonsense, so the plan is to try and inhabit a new planet infested with crazy insectoid monsters. Naturally, there's some big corporate baddies we need to contend with that want control over the colonization process, all while also dealing with this threatening new species and the extreme conditions of this new planet that just so happens to be in the throes of an ice age. Bad timing, I guess, but it's great timing for you to pick up the game at a great price. It's even got mech suits with rocket launchers, dude. Just check it out. Some of the most beloved action-adventure titles ever, the Capcom classic Devil May Cry series has 5 games on the Xbox 360. The HD collection features HD remasters of the first 3 games, followed by the 4th mainline title in the series. There's also the DMC reboot, which, while not quite as positively received, is still a perfectly fine action game and also fits within our budget here. If you want fast-paced action combat with a campy edgelord style, some classic mid-2000s cheese, you've got all but the most recent Devil May Cry game at your disposal on the 360. Well, that was 20-something titles, I don't know, I lost count there, but these are all great games and all under $10 shipped on eBay right now. I'll have another list of 20 more great games under $10 on the way pretty soon. There was honestly just so many options when I was researching for this video, so be sure to like the video if you liked it, and subscribe so you don't miss the next one when it's out. Hopefully you found something you want to pick up for your collection here, and thanks again for stopping by.